Today we're going to take a look at biology questions, WBCS mains question, biology science from 2014 to 2021. All the questions would be looked at. The first question here, it goes 2021. The fertility of the soil is reduced by denitrifying bacteria. The fertility of the soil is reduced by denitrifying bacteria. Fertility of the soil is decreased by denitrifying bacteria. Moving on, artificial radioisotope CO60 finds application in oncology, that is cancer detection. So artificial radiocarbon, that is cobalt-16, artificial radioisotope cobalt-16 finds application in oncology, that is to say cancer detection. Moving on to the next, sunlight arrives at a plane in units of light energy is called photon. The unit of light energy is called photon. The unit of light energy is called photon. Moving on to the next, carbohydrate which cannot be digested by the human digestive system is a fiber. So like fiber cannot be, and cellulose, etc. The carbohydrate which cannot be digested by the human digestive system is fiber and cellulose. Fiber, cellulose, these are the kind of carbohydrate which cannot be digested by the human digestive tract system. Which of the following ions is involved in blood clotting? Ca++, involved in blood clotting. Ca++ is involved. Ca++ involved in blood clotting. Involved in blood clotting. Ca++ involved in blood clotting. The ion which is involved in. Then comes the deficiency of which element causes chlorosis. CHLOROSIS, chlorosis. Magnesium, the deficiency of magnesium causes chlorosis. So chlorosis causes, the deficiency of magnesium causes chlorosis. The deficiency of magnesium causes chlorosis. The chlorosis is caused by the deficiency of magnesium. Which one is antibiotic? Which one is antibiotic? Chloromycetin. CHLORO, chloromycetin. Chloromycetin is an antibiotic. Among the options, chloromycetin, CHLORO, chloromycetin is an antibiotic. Moving on to the next question, triple antigen provides immunity to children against all the following diseases except basically triple antigen provides immunity to children against diphtheria, tetanus and whooping cough, but not against polio. For that you have to have that polio vaccine, polio vaccine has to be taken, polio drops has to be taken. That's a different thing. So triple antigen provides immunity to children against all the following disease, that is diphtheria, tetanus and whooping cough. Triple antigen provides immunity to children against all the following disease, that is diphtheria, tetanus, whooping cough. Diphtheria, tetanus, whooping cough. Triple antigen provides immunity to children against all the following disease, that is diphtheria, tetanus and whooping cough. Moving on to the next, normal blood pressure of a healthy person is 120 by 80, systole and diastole. Normal blood pressure of the healthy person is 120 by 80. Normal blood pressure of the human is 120 by 80, that is systole pressure and diastole pressure respectively. Which of the following connects a bone to bone? Ligament is the element that connects bone to bone, or kind of a ligament is the system that connects bone to bone. So ligament connects bone to bone. Which of the following connects a bone to a bone? It's called ligament. Ligament connects bone to bone. Moving on to the next question. Chloroquine is a drug to control malaria. So chloroquine or chloroquinine. Chloroquinine is a drug to control malaria. And the chemical formula for that would be C18H26 CIN3. So chloroquine is a drug to control malaria. Moving on to the next, the pyramid of a number, the a pyramid of number is inverted in the case of parasite food chain. In the case of parasite food chain, the pyramid is inverted. In the case of parasitic mode of nutrition, parasite or pyramid of food chain is inverted in the parasite food chain. Pyramid is generally like this from top to bottom, and this is the way it goes. But in the case of parasitic mode, it's sort of from top to bottom, it's just bottom to top, inverted. The pyramid of number is inverted in the case of parasitic food chain. The pyramid of number is inverted in the case of parasitic food chain. Moving on to the next, Zika virus is spread by Zika virus mosquito. Mosquito spreads Zika virus. Aedes aegypti is the mosquito that does that spreads this Zika virus. So Zika virus is spread by the mosquito, and Aedes aegypti is the one that carries this virus along with it. So Zika virus is carried by Aedes aegypti, and mosquito is the one, like Aedes aegypti, mosquito is the one that carries Zika virus. Moving on to the next question, which of the following has the highest calorific value? Like among the options given, fat has the highest calorific value. Among the options given, fat has the highest calorific value. Fat always has the highest calorific value. Moving on to the next, which of the following is a direct source of the energy for muscle contraction? Muscle contraction, the direct source of energy is both. That is to say, both A and B. That is ATP and ATP and certain phosphates. as we understand. So which of the following is a direct source of energy for muscle contraction? Which of the following is a direct source of energy for muscle contraction? Which of the following is a direct source of energy for muscle contraction? ATP and phosphate. ATP and certain phosphate. Which of the following is a direct source of energy for muscle contraction? ATP and certain phosphate, etc. Moving on to the next. Which of the following is not a broad spectrum antibiotics? Which of the following is not a broad spectrum? Which of the following is not a broad spectrum antibiotic? Penicillin is not a broad spectrum antibiotic, but among the other options, these are broad spectrum antibiotics. So which of the following is not a broad spectrum antibiotic? So we can say conversely, which of the following is a broad spectrum antibiotic? Tetracycline, tetracycline, chloro, let's just say chloromycetin. So the pronunciation would be chloromycetin and tetracycline and chloromycetin. These are kind of a difficult name to pronounce, so we have to kind of pronounce it multiple times to get a proper understanding of it. So which of the following is not a broad spectrum, or which of the following is a broad spectrum antibiotic? Tetracycline is a broad spectrum antibiotic. Tetracycline and chloromycetin and tetracycline and chloromycetin. These are broad spectrum antibiotic. Tetracycline and chloromycetin, these are broad spectrum antibiotic. Moving on, amino acids are building blocks of what? Protein. Amino acids are the building blocks of protein. Moving on to the next question, 2020 question. So the fundamental organism, the fundamental organizational unit of life is cell. The cell is the fundamental organizational unit of the body, cell. Moving on, the human eye forms the image of an object at its retina. So basically retina is where the image is formed. So human eye forms the image of an object at its retina. Tissue that connects muscle to bone is the human being. That's tendon and ligament. So the tissue that connects muscle to bone in a human is known as the tendon. So tendon is the one. Tissue that connects, it's tissue rather. So tissue that connects muscle to bone in a human is known as the tendon. Moving on. Cell was discovered by Robert Hooke is the one. In the year of 1665, Robert Hooke is the one who discovered cell. Moving on to the next question. The bacteria which causes peptic ulcer. Peptic ulcer is caused by which bacteria? The bacteria which causes peptic ulcer would be Helicobacter pylori. Helicobacter, B-A-C-T-E-R, Helicobacter pylori. So bacteria which causes peptic ulcer, is Helicobacter pylori. Helicobacter pylori is the one that causes peptic ulcer. Helicobacter pylori causes peptic ulcer. Moving on, the anther contains the what? Pollen grain. The anther contains pollen grain. The anther contains what? Pollen grain. The anther contains pollen grain. The gap between two neurons is called the synapse. Synapse is the gap of two neurons. Two neuron gap is synapse. The gap between two neurons is called the synapse. What is the type of the size of the prokaryotic cell? What is the typical size of the prokaryotic cell? The typical size of the prokaryotic cell is 1 to 10 micrometer. The prokaryotic cell. The size of the prokaryotic cell is 1 to 10 micrometer. Prokaryotic cell, the size of it is 1 to 10 micrometer. Asexual reproduction takes place through the yeast. Asexual reproduction takes place through budding in the yeast. Through budding. So asexual reproduction takes place through the budding in yeast. Through budding in yeast, asexual reproduction takes place through budding in yeast. Asexual reproduction takes place through the budding in yeast. Fine. The human eye can focus on objects at a different distance by adjusting the focal length of the eye lens. This is due to what? This is due to this phenomena. It goes by the name of accommodation. This is a phenomena goes by the name of accommodation. By accommodating, it can do that. So again, by accommodation, human eyes can focus on objects at different distance by adjusting the focal length of the eye lens. So by accommodation, the human eye can focus on the objects at different distance by adjusting the focal length of the eye lens. So by accommodation, human eyes can focus on objects at different distance by adjusting the focal length of the eye lens. Fine. Moving on to the next question. The xylem in plants are responsible for transportation of water. Xylem and phloem. Xylem, transportation of water, and phloem, transportation of the food which is being prepared by the plant to the rest of the other kind of parts of the plant. Which of the following is a plant hormone? Among the options given, cytokinin is a plant hormone, but insulin, thyroxine, estrogen, these are all animal hormone. So insulin, thyroxine, estrogen, these are all animal hormone, but cytokinin is a plant hormone. Cytokinin is a plant hormone. Again, cytokinin is a plant hormone. Cytokinin is a plant hormone. Moving on to the next question. The kidney and the human beings are part of their system of excretion. The human kidney, these does what? Excretionary function, right? So human being, kidney does the function of excretion. In human being, the kidney does the function of excretion. Moving on to the next. The breakdown of pyruvate to give carbon dioxide, water, and the energy takes place in mitochondria. So in mitochondria, all this procedure, all the process takes place. So in mitochondria, the breakdown of the pyruvate to give carbon dioxide. In mitochondria, breakdown of the pyruvate to give oxygen, carbon dioxide, water, etc., etc. The breakdown of the pyruvate to give carbon dioxide, water, and energy takes place in mitochondria. The breakdown of pyruvate to give carbon dioxide, water, and energy takes place in mitochondria. Then moving on to the next, PCR is relatively simple. PCR is relatively simple and widely used molecular biology technique to amplify and detect DNA RNA sequence. PCR stands for what? Polymer, polymerase chain reaction. Polymerase chain reaction is the one that is what it is. So PCR is a relatively simple and widely used molecular. PCR is a relatively simple and widely used molecular biology technique to amplify DNA RNA sequence. So that PCR is relates to PCR, polymerase chain reaction. Polymerase chain reaction, polymerase, poly, MERAs, polymerase chain reaction is the one is a relatively simple and widely used molecular biology technique to amplify and detect DNA RNA sequence. So basically DNA RNA sequence can be identified by PCR, and the PCR full form of the PCR is polymerase chain reaction, by which the sequence of the DNA RNA sequence can be identified. The technique, biological technique that amplifies and detects DNA and RNA sequence. Which of the following is not a part of the female reproductive system of the human being? So which of the following is not, they are saying. So what are the female reproductive system? Ovary, uterus, and fallopian tube. So ovary, uterus, and fallopian tube, these all are part of the female reproductive system, but vast difference is part of the male reproductive system. So fallopian tube, ovary, uterus, these are all part of the female reproductive system. On the other hand, vas deferens is the part of the male reproductive system. Moving on to the next question. The nucleus of a living cell was discovered by Robert Hooke. Robert Hooke is the one who discovered, a Scottish botanist. He's the one in the year of 1831. He's a Scottish botanist. He was a Scottish botanist, and he is the one who discovered the nucleus. I mean, he was the one who discovered nucleus of a living cell. This was discovered by Robert Hooke. This was discovered by Robert Hooke. The nucleus of a living cell was discovered by Robert Brown. I just made a mistake there, so just correction. Robert Hooke is a different double helix structure, like Rob. So nucleus of a living cell was discovered by Robert Brown. So nucleus of a living cell was discovered by Robert Brown. So nucleus of a living cell was discovered by Robert Brown. He was a Scottish botanist in the year of 1831. So nucleus of a living cell was discovered by Robert Brown, a Scottish botanist, in the year of 1831. Moving on to the next. Penicillin was Alexander Fleming is the one who discovered penicillin. He is also a Scottish bacteriologist in the year of 1928. So in the year of 1928, Alexander Fleming is the one who discovered penicillin. So penicillin was discovered by who? Penicillin was discovered by Alexander Fleming in the year of 1928, a Scottish biologist or bacteriologist. Which vitamin was discovered by Henrik Dam, Danish scientist, in the year of 1920. Vitamin was discovered by vitamin K. So which vitamin? Vitamin K was discovered by Henrik Dam. Henrik Dam is the one who discovered vitamin K. So vitamin K was discovered by Henrik Dam. Henrik Dam is the one who discovered vitamin K, a Danish scientist, in the year of 1929. Moving on to the next question. For the detection of the polyaromatic hydrocarbon, which of the following instrument is used? Polyaromatic hydrocarbon. For the detection of the polyaromatic hydrocarbons, which of the following instrument is used? For gas chromatography is the one which is used. For the detection of the polyaromatic hydrocarbon. For the detection of polyaromatic hydrocarbon, which of the following instrument is used? For the detection of the polyaromatic hydrocarbon, which of the following instrument is used? For the detection of polyaromatic hydrocarbon, the gas chromatography is used. For the detection of polyaromatic hydrocarbon, gas chromatography is used. For the detection of polyaromatic hydrocarbon, gas chromatography is used. Mango necrosis. It's a kind of a disease in mango actually. Mango necrosis black tip is due to SO2, the presence of SO2. So mango necrosis is due to the presence of SO2. So mango necrosis is due to the presence of SO2. So mango necrosis black tip is due to the presence of SO2. Moving on to the next question. In which year Alexander Fleming discovered penicillin? Alexander, Scottish bacteriologist. He was the one who discovered penicillin in the year of 1928. So penicillin was discovered in the year of 1928 by Scottish bacteriologist Alexander Fleming. So Alexander Fleming discovered a Scottish biologist Alexander Fleming, Scottish bacteriologist Alexander Fleming discovered penicillin in the year of 1928. So Alexander Fleming, Scottish bacteriologist, discovered penicillin in the year of 1928. So Alexander Fleming discovered penicillin in the year of 1928. He is a Scottish bacteriologist. Moving on to the next question, 2019. The following virus is waterborne. So hepatitis A is a waterborne virus. It's carried by water. So hepatitis B, this virus, the virus of hepatitis B, or A, not B, rather A. So bacteria, the kind of virus of hepatitis A is being carried by water. So the following virus is waterborne. Hepatitis A is waterborne. So hepatitis A virus is carried by water. Hepatitis A virus is carried by water. The following organism is endosymbiont. Nitobacter, not nectar. Nitobacter is a endosymbiont. So Nitobacter is endosymbiont. So nitro, N-I-T-R-O, Nitrobacter. Nitrobacter is endosymbiont. Now what is endosymbiont?
Symbiotic theory. Endosymbiotic theory definition. Endosymbiotic theory is the unified and widely accepted theory of how organelles arose in organisms, differing prokaryotic organisms from eukaryotic organisms. In endosymbiotic theory, consistent with general evolutionary theory, all organisms arose from a single common ancestor. This ancestor probably resembled a bacteria, or prokaryote with a single strand of DNA surrounded by a plasma membrane. Throughout time, these bacteria diverged in form and function. Some bacteria acquired the ability to process energy from the environment in novel ways. Photosynthetic bacteria developed the pathways that enabled the production of sugar from sunlight. Other organisms developed novel ways to use this sugar is oxidative phosphorylation, which produced ATP from the breakdown of sugar with oxygen. ATP can then be used to supply energy to other reactions in the cell.
So we've got a somewhat understanding what this endosymbiont is. So Nitrobacter is an endosymbiont. With the following organism endosymbiont, Nitrobacter is an endosymbiont. Moving on to the next, the Blackfoot disease primarily occurs due to the toxicity of arsenic. So arsenic contamination causes Blackfoot disease. This Blackfoot disease is caused by the arsenic contamination. And this disease is also known as arseniocosis. This disease is also known as scientifically arseniocosis. Arsenicosis. So basically this disease is also known as arsenicosis. Arsenic causes Blackfoot disease, and this disease is also known as arsenicosis. This is also known as arsenicosis. Moving on to the next, the following is not a macronutrient. The following is not a macronutrient. So basically Mg, C and K, that is magnesium, calcium and K potassium, I guess. These are all macronutrients, but Fe is not a macronutrient. Fe is not a macronutrient. So we understand Mg, C and K, these are all macronutrient, but Fe is not a macronutrient. So as we can understand, which of the following is not a macronutrient? So basically magnesium, calcium and potassium. These are all Mg, C and K, these are all macronutrients, but Fe, that is to say iron, is not a macronutrient. Iron is not a macronutrient, it's a micronutrient. Moving on to the next question. A genetically engineered form of brinjal known as BT brinjal has been developed. The objective of this is to what? To make it pest resistant. So BT brinjal, that is to say BT brinjal that was made, it's a genetically engineered brinjal, and the purpose for this is to make it make it pest resistant. A kind of a BT brinjal was made, it's engineered to make it pest resistant. BT brinjal, this was engineered to make it pest resistant. Moving on to the next, proteins are composed of what? Alpha amino acid. Proteins are composed of alpha amino acids. Proteins are composed of alpha amino acids. Proteins are composed of alpha amino acids. Moving on, inducium. Inducium is found in FERNS ferns. Ferns is the one like where inducium is found. Inducium is found in fern, FERNS ferns. So ferns is where the inducium is found in fern. So not in algae but moss, like it's in fern. It's in fern, inducium is found. Inducium is found in a fern. Inducium is found in ferns. Moving on to the next question. In plants, water supply is due to capillarity, that is adhesive force. capillary action or adhesive force here is talking, but then it is generally like we would like to term it as a capillary action. So in plant, water supply is due to, that is capillary motion, the water sort of goes up. So in plant, water supply is due to capillary action or adhesive force. Moving on to the next question, in which of the following in form does the food transported in plant? The food transported in the form of sucrose. In which form does the food transported in plants? In what form does the food transported in plant? In what form does the food transported in plant? It is transported in plant in the form of sucrose. So in the plant, the food is transported in the form of sucrose. Moving on to the next question, which of the following is not a vestigial in man? So nails is not a vestigial organs of a man. So which of the following is not a vestigial organ in man? A vestigial, like a tail vertebrate, then comes tail vertebrate, vermiform appendix, and nistitating membrane, vermiform appendix, and tail vertebra, then comes vermiform appendix, and nictitating membrane or nictitating membrane. These are all vestigial organ in men. That is to say, these organs are no longer in use. But nail is not a vestigial organ. Nail is still useful. So what is a vestigial organ? Let's just have an understanding of what a vestigial organ is all about.
Vestigial organs are the organs that have no apparent function and are considered to be the residual parts from the past ancestors. What are vestigial organs? Vestigial organs are organs, tissues, or cells in a body which are no more functional the way they were in their ancestral form of the trait. It is authentication of evolution and hence, were helpful in explaining adaptation. Such a structure can arise due to gene mutation which causes a change in the proteins. These mutated proteins result in the formation of vestigial structures. In the population, the occurrence of such structures may, however, increase if it is beneficial enough. For instance, snakes have evolved to slither as they no longer have legs, excluding some snakes who still possess rear legs, the boars. In humans, the appendix is a good example of a vestigial organ. This non-functioning organ eventually degenerates, shrinking in size and disappearing ultimately. Examining vestigiality should be governed by drawing similarities with their counterparts with respect to their homologous features. The exposure of this occurs through various processes of evolution, one of which is the loss of function of a feature that is not subjected to positive selection pressures in accordance with its surroundings. Vestigial organs vary from being pointless to favorable based on the selection. Some structures, due to less or no utility, degenerate over a period of time to avoid consequences of genetic drift or selective pressures. Following are a few examples of vestigial organs. Sinuses. Human cheekbones hold the maxillary sinuses. The face consists of pockets of air called sinuses. They are lined by a thin layer of mucosa. It has no significant use, but infection can lead to sinusitis. Appendix. It is one of the most commonly known vestigial organs. This finger-like tube closed at one end arises from the vermiform process. In prime ancestors, the appendix is believed to have brought about the digestion of cellulose. Today, scientists predict that the appendix may play a role in digestion by bacteria. Coccyx. It forms the last part of the vertebral column, the residue of the lost tail, and is often termed as the tailbone. It is observed during human embryogenesis. This formed as the centerpiece of the theory of recapitulation. Wisdom tooth. Forms the third set of molars in our buccal cavity. They may have been significant in the past, chewing rough and raw food, but in modern times, as they are inaccessible and remote, it causes pain and infection. External ear. The helix, outer rim of the ear, is known to be a vestigial structure. Underdeveloped muscles in the ear make us incapable to bring about the movement of ears. Darwin's tubercle is a vestigial feature present on the juncture of the upper part of the ear. Nictitating membrane. Nictitating membrane is the third eyelid found in a few animals that protect and keep the eyes moist and also helps in vision. In humans, it is replaced by plica semilunaris. Tonsils. The tonsils remain as vestigial organs in the human body. They act as the first line of defense and protect the body from harmful microorganisms that are either inhaled or ingested by the body. Other vestigial organs. A few other vestigial organs are mentioned below. Snakes are believed to have descended from lizards. Their legs grew smaller and smaller until a small bump was left at the back of some of the largest snakes like pythons. Blind fish and salamanders still possess eye structures but live in caves. It is believed that mutations in genes that increase the taste buds degraded their eyes. Cockroaches have wings. The wings that are present on the females do not facilitate flying. The Galapagos cormorants have wings which are non-functional. These birds are believed to have turned into flightless birds about 2 million years ago. The whale shark is a filter feeder. It consists of rows of teeth that cannot bite anything. This was all about vestigial organs and vestigiality. To know more about these,
So we got a proper understanding of what the vestigial organs are. So here is again what are vestigial organs in the human being. Vestigial organs will be tail vertebrae, vermiform appendix, and nictitating membrane or nictitating membrane. So these are vestigial organs of the human being or in men. Moving on to the next question, the vitamins which is essential for blood clotting is vitamin K. Vitamin K is the vitamin which is essential, which is needed for blood clotting. Moving on to the next, Kupffer cell are present in liver. Kupffer cell is present in the liver. Kupffer cell is present in the liver. So in liver, Kupffer cell is present. Kupffer cell is present in the liver. Moving on, in blood, CO2 is transported majorly as a bicarbonate. CO2 is transported as bicarbonate. So in blood, CO2 transported majorly as bicarbonate product. So in blood, CO2 is transported majorly as a bicarbonate. In CO2, in blood, CO2 is transported majorly as a bicarbonate. Moving on to the next question. What is correctly matched? This one is correctly matched. What is that? Apiculture is related to honeybee. Apiculture is related to honeybee. Now let's just take a look at all the remaining options as well. So apiculture is a honeybee culture. Then pisciculture silkworm is wrong. So pisciculture is process of growing fish and selling it or using its product for domestic and commercial usage. So pisciculture is fish culture. Then sericulture is related to silkworm and silk related items. That is to say silkworm, those silk moths and etc. cultivation of that's called sericulture. Then aquaculture is related to aquaculture is breeding, rearing and harvesting fish, shellfish, algae and other organisms in all types of water environments. So basically that is called aquaculture. So aquaculture, all the water related thing, that is to say fish, shellfish, algae, etc. organism, their culture. Then comes sericulture, related to sericulture, silkworm rearing and growing and rearing and silk production. Then pisciculture, fish, of course. Pisciculture is growing fish and selling it. And then apiculture relates to honeybee. That's perfectly fine. Now if we could move on to the next question. Which of the following is the largest gland in the adult man? Liver is the largest gland in the adult human being. So largest gland in the adult man is which of the following is the largest gland in the adult man? Liver is the largest gland in the adult man. In the human being, that is to say in the male, adult male, the largest gland is liver. Liver is the largest gland in adult man. Moving on, protein folding is a process in which the polypeptide folds into 3D structure. So that is what it is. So protein folding is a process in which polypeptide folds into what? 3D structure. So if you could again read the question, protein folding is a process in which the polypeptide folds into a 3D structure. Protein folding is a process in which a polypeptide folds into a 3D structure. Moving on to the next question, who describes the structure of DNA double helix structure? Watson and Crick is the one who discovered the double helix structure of the DNA. So Watson and Crick, who discovered the double helix structure of the DNA? Double helix structure of the DNA is Watson and Crick. Watson and Crick discovered the double helix structure of the DNA. Adaptation of eyes in dark due to the repletion of vision pigment in rod cell. Repletion of the vision pigment in rod cell. Repletion of vision pigment in rod cell is the kind of adaptation of the eye. Adaptation of eye in dark is due to the repletion of vision pigment in rod cell. Moving on, a man of a blood group A marries a woman of blood group AB. Which type of progeny would indicate the man is heterozygous? B. This B would tell that it is a heterozygous. A man with blood group A marries a woman but blood group AB. Which type of progeny would indicate that the man is a heterozygous? Man is heterozygous if the baby is the offspring is B group, whether comes with a B blood group, then it's a heterozygous. Then we can conclude that it's the man was a heterozygous. Moving on to the next question, if you could do so. Aspirin is an antipyretic. Aspirin is an antipyretic. Moving on to the next question, which of the following of them contains all the information required to fold the polypeptide chain in its 3D structure? Amino acid sequence is the one that is required. Amino acid sequence is the one. Which of the following contains the information required to fold the polypeptide chain in its 3D structure? Amino acid sequence, the fold polypeptide chain in its 3D structure. Amino acid sequence contains all the information. Amino acid sequences contains all the information required to fold the polypeptide chain in its 3D structure. Amino acid sequence amino acid sequence contains all the information required to fold the polypeptide chain in its 3D structure. Amino acid sequence contains all the information required to fold the polypeptide chain in its 3D structure. Moving on, the name of the RNA molecule which is used to carry genetic information copied from DNA is mRNA. mRNA is the one that is used. Name the RNA molecule which is used. Name the RNA molecule which is used to carry genetic information copied from DNA. mRNA. Name the RNA molecule. Name the RNA molecule. Name the RNA molecules which is used to carry genetic information copied from DNA would be mRNA. Moving on to the next question. Name the disease caused by the deficiency of niacin. Niacin, vitamin B3. Vitamin B3. Niacin is the one. Name the disease caused by the deficiency of vitamin niacin. Pellagra. P-L-L-A-G-R. Pellagra is the one. Pellagra is a disease which is caused due to the deficiency of vitamin B3. Niacin. Vitamin B3 or niacin. Name the disease caused by the deficiency of niacin, that is vitamin B3. B3 niacin, pellagra. P-A-L-L-A-G-R. Pellagra. Vitamin B3 niacin. The deficiency of this causes pellagra. Moving on to next. Which of the following vitamin serves as a hormone precursor? Vitamin D is known as the hormone precursor. Vitamin D is known as the hormone precursor. That is comes before hormone. So basically, which of the following vitamin serves as the hormone precursor? Calcitriol hormone. Calcitriol hormone, that is vitamin D. Vitamin D, calcitriol hormone, is the precursor of the vitamin. Now, which of the following is a precursor of the hormone? So calcitriol hormone, that is vitamin D. Calcitriol hormone, vitamin D, is the precursor of vitamin. It's a precursor of the vitamin, precursor of the hormone. Moving on to the following, which of the following is not a component of the nucleus? Component of nucleus, or what are the component of nucleus? Would be chromosome, nucleolus, and nucleolus, and nuclear envelope, nucleolus, and chromosome, nucleolus, and nuclear envelope, nucleolus, and chromosome. These are all the part of the nucleus. The chromosome, nucleolus, and nuclear envelope, these are all part of the nucleus. But cytoplasm is not part of the nucleus. That is, cytoplasm is out of the nucleus. It stays outside the nucleus. Moving on to the next question, 2018. Which is the most balanced diet? Milk is the most balanced diet among the options given. Milk is the most balanced diet. Moving on, carbohydrate stored in body as a glycogen. Carbohydrate is stored in the body as glycogen. Carbohydrate is stored in the body as a glycogen. Moving on, quinine is extracted from the plant cinchona. Cinchona plant, from where quinine is extracted. Quinine is extracted from the plant cinchona. Quinine is obtained. Human eye forms the image of an object at its retina. Human eye forms the image at an object at its retina. Moving on, normal blood pressure of the human being is 120 by 80. That is systole and diastole, respectively 120 by 80. Moving on, universal recipient of the blood group is AB. Universal recipient blood group is AB. In medicine, bottles contain capsules and the tablets. A pouch of SiO2 gel is kept to absorb moisture. So basically, silicon oxide, SiO2 gel is kept in the medicine bottles containing capsules and tablets. SiO2 gel kind of a sachet is kept. What's the purpose? For the absorption of the moisture. So the medical bottles containing capsule and the tablet, a pouch of SiO2 gel is kept to absorb moisture. Moving on, which of the following is considered a good cholesterol? HDL is good cholesterol. HDL is a good cholesterol. HDL is considered as a good cholesterol. What is HDL? So HDL is high density lipoprotein. So which is the following is a good cholesterol? HDL, that is high density lipoprotein, is HDL, and that is a good cholesterol. Moving on to the goiter is caused by deficiency of iodine, not vitamin but iodine. So goiter is caused by the deficiency of iodine. Iodine deficiency causes goiter. Moving on, plant absorbs dissolved nitrates from soil and convert them into free N2. Converts them into free N2. Plant absorbs dissolved nitrates from soil. Plant absorbs dissolved nitrates from soil and converts them into free N2. Plants absorbs dissolved nitrates from soil and converts them into free N2. Moving on to the next question. The heart rate of an adult person should remain in the range of 70 to 80 times per minute. So the heart rate of an adult person, healthy adult person would be, I guess. The heart rate of an adult person should remain in the range between 70 to 80 times per minute. Moving on to the next question. The method by which the desired characters of two plants can be combined is called grafting. Grafting is the process in which the desired combination of two plants can be obtained in one plant. So the method by which the desired characteristics of two plants can be combined, is called grafting. Grafting is the process by which it can be obtained. What organ is controlled by Which organ is not controlled by autonomic nervous system? Which organ is not controlled by the autonomic control system? Uterus. Uterus is not by autonomous. Like, which of the organ is not controlled by autonomous nervous system? Uterus is not controlled by autonomous nervous system. Uterus is not controlled by the autonomous nervous system. Which organ is not controlled by autonomous nervous system? Uterus. Uterus is not controlled by autonomous nervous system. Heart, glands, and eyes, these are all controlled by autonomous nervous system. Which organ is not controlled? So basically, our autonomous nervous system controls heart we cannot control by ourselves, it controls itself. Glands does that same, like we don't have any conscious control over our glands, not even of our eyes, on our eyes. So heart, glands, and eyes, they control all by themselves. This is autonomous control. But uterus, they do not have autonomous control. We can control it. Sort of, we have that let's just say liberty of controlling with our mind, let's just say, the way we want. Blood is filtered in the body through kidney. Blood is filtered in kidney. Blood is filtered in kidney. It's a very simple question. Moving on to the next. Chlorophyll contains magnesium. Chlorophyll contains what? Chlorophyll contains magnesium. Chlorophyll contains magnesium. Moving on. White lung cancer is caused by asbestosis, or asbestosis is a disease. Asbestos is the one like that causes white lung cancer. Asbestos can cause white lung cancer, or asbestos causes white lung cancer. Moving on to the next question. In photosynthesis, chlorophyll of the green plant reacts with CO2 and O2, H2O, in presence of sunlight to generate O2. So yeah, so that's what it is. So again, let's just see what is there. So in photosynthesis, chlorophyll of the green plant reacts with the oxygen and carbon dioxide to produce not oxygen, rather. In photosynthesis, chlorophyll of a green plant reacts with the CO2 and H2O in the presence of sunlight to generate O2, oxygen. The scavenger of the earth is a fungi. Or fungi or fungus? Fungi are the scavengers of the earth. Scavengers of the earth would be fungi. Moving on to the next question. Which of the following clay has the highest cation or cation capacity exchange capacity? Which of the following clay has the highest cation exchange capacity? Highest cation exchange capacity. Which of the following type of clay has the highest cation exchange capacity? Let's just check.
Cation exchange capacity. Cation exchange capacity, CEC, is a useful indicator of soil fertility because it shows the soil's ability to supply three important plant nutrients: calcium, magnesium, and potassium. Cations. What CEC actually measures is the soil's ability to hold cations by electrical attraction. Cations are positively charged elements, the positive charge indicated by a plus sign after the element symbol. The number of plus signs indicates the amount of charge the element possesses. The 5 most abundant exchangeable cations in the soil are calcium, Ca++, magnesium, milligram++, potassium, K+, sodium, Na+, and aluminium, Ol+++. Cations are held by negatively charged particles of clay and humus called colloids. Colloids consist of thin, flat plates, and for their size have a comparatively large surface area. For this reason they are capable of holding enormous quantities of cations. They act as a storehouse of nutrients for plant roots. As plant roots take up cations, other cations in the soil water replace them on the colloid. If there is a concentration of one particular cation in the soil water, those cations will force other cations off the colloid and take their place. The stronger the colloid's negative charge, the greater its capacity to hold and exchange cations, hence the term cation exchange capacity.
So I've been pronouncing it all wrong. It's a cation. So which of the following clay has the highest cation exchange capacity? So we have learned what is cation exchange capacity, and now this option is correct. So cation exchange capacity highest is a Montmorillonite clay. Montmorillonite clay is the clay that has the highest cation exchange capacity, CEC. Cation exchange capacity is what we have learned. Montmorillonite clay is the one that has got the highest cation exchange capacity. Montmorillonite clay is the clay that has got highest cation exchange capacity. Moving on to the next question. The diameter of the human hair is about 100 that is in nanometer. That is to say, the diameter of the human hair is 100 μm. That is nanometer, I guess. The diameter of the human hair capacity is this. Then young and cockroach is called nymphs. The young cockroaches, that is to say larvae, the young of cockroaches are called not larvae but rather nymphs, NYMPH, nymphs. The young of cockroaches are called nymphs. The study of microscope structure of the tissue is called histology. The microscopic rather. The study of the microscopic structure of the cell tissue is called the histology. The study of the microscopic structure of the tissues is called the histology. The study of the microscopic structure of the tissues is called histology. Moving on to the ornithology is a study of the bird. Ornithology is study of the birds. Bird study is called ornithology. Ornithology is study of the birds. Then comes leaf spotted disease of the rice is caused by the fungus. Fungus causes leaf disease. That is, leaf spotted disease of a rice is caused by the fungus. Cochiobulus miabenis. Cochiobulus miabenis. Cochiobulus miabenis is this kind of a fungi. This leaf spot disease. The leaf spot disease, Cochiolibus miabilis is the one, like miabilinus, milabianus, whatever it is. So leaf disease, a fungus, leaf spot disease of the rice is caused by the fungus. Black heart potato is due to deficiency of oxygen. Oxygen deficiency causes the black heart disease. Black heart disease of the potato is caused by the deficiency of oxygen. Deficiency of the oxygen causes black heart disease of the potato. Moving on to the next, the cell wall of a xylem cell is rich in lignin. Lignin is the one, that is, the cell wall of a xylem wall is rich in. The cell wall of a xylem cell is rich in lignin. Cell wall of xylem cell is rich in lignin. Moving on to the next, to the growth movement in plant due to light is called phototropism. Growth movement in plant due to light, that is to say towards light, is called phototropism. Growth movement in plant due to light is called phototropism. Which of the following is used as biofertilizer? Azolla is used as biofertilizer. Azolla is used as biofertilizer. Azolla is used as biofertilizer. Red color of the Red Sea is due to algae. The presence of algae sort of gives the red color to the Red Sea. Blue-green algae, actually. Red color to Red Sea is due to blue-green algae. That is to say algae. Algae gives color to red color to the Red Sea. Algae, blue-green algae. Moving on, bacteria was discovered first by Leeuwenhoek. Leeuwenhoek in the year of 1676. Leeuwenhoek 1676 is the one, or is the year when he discovered this bacteria. So bacteria was first discovered by who? Bacteria was discovered by Leeuwenhoek. And when did he do that? Leeuwenhoek discovered bacteria in the year of 1767. 1676. So Leeuwenhoek discovered bacteria in 1676. Moving on to the next question. Who is known as the father of taxonomy? Linnaeus. Linnaeus is the one who is known as the father of taxonomy. Linnaeus is known as the father of taxonomy. Spermology is the study of the seed. Spermology is the study of the seeds. Spermology is the study of the seeds. Spermology is the study of the seeds. Moving on, vitamin B12 is also known as cobalamin. Vitamin C12 is also known as cobalamin. Vitamin C12 is known as cobalamin. Vitamin C12 is known as cobalamin. Vitamin C12 is known as, B12. Vitamin B12 is known as cobalamin. Vitamin B12 is known as cobalamin. Vitamin B12 is known as cobalamin. Moving on to the next question, 2016. Equus caballus is scientific name of the horse. Equus caballus, Caballus. Equus caballus is the scientific name of horse. Equus caballus is the scientific name of horse. Rosie periwinkle. Rosie periwinkle is given the drug for. Rosie periwinkle gives the drug for blood cancer. Rosie periwinkle gives the drug for blood cancer. Rosie periwinkle gives the drug for blood cancer. Moving on to the next question. What else do we have here? The deficiency of cobalt causes the disease of vitamin B12. The deficiency of cobalt, vitamin B12, or vitamin B12. So basically, the deficiency of cobalt causes the deficiency of deficiency of vitamin B12. So we have seen something about vitamin B12. It's called cobalamin. Vitamin B12 goes by the name cobalamin, and the deficiency of vitamin B12 causes the deficiency of cobalt causes the deficiency. If the cobalt in the blood or in the body is in the lesser proportion than it has to be, then it gives rise to vitamin B12. It gives rise to the deficiency of vitamin B12. The deficiency of cobalt causes the deficiency of vitamin B12. Moving on to the next question. Lead blocks the biosynthesis of hemoglobin. Lead, that is to say, lead's a kind of it's a element. It is a kind of a metal. Lead blocks the biosynthesis of hemoglobin. So basically, if there is too much of lead in the blood or any degree more than the wanted quantity, lead blocks the biosynthesis of hemoglobin. Moving on to the next question. Single cell animals produce water or fission. Fission is the one, like a single cell animals reproduces by fission. So binary fission is the one, actually, to be more precise. So single cell animals reproduced by binary fission or binary fission. So binary fission is a process by which a single cell animals reproduce. A single cell animal reproduced by binary fission. Moving on to the next question. The basic unit of life is nucleic acid. Nucleic acid is the basic unit of life. Basic unit of life is nucleic acid. The amino acids are basic unit of proteins. Amino acids are the basic unit of proteins. Moving on to the next question. Human body's main organ of balance is the inner part of the ears. Our inner part of the ears is the main part of the body. Like human body's main organs of balance is located. Human body's main organ of balance is located in inner parts of the ears. Vestibular system. The human body's main organ of balance is located in. Human body's main organ of balance is located in inner part of ears. That is vestibular system. Moving on. Chemically, hormones are what? Chemically, hormones are, basically, I do not know. So here is the answer, not this one. Now here it is in the right place. So chemically hormones are water. The chemically hormones are none of this, but chemically hormones are proteins, steroids, and biogenic amines. Proteins, steroids, and biogenic amines. So proteins, hormones, and proteins, steroids, and biogenic amines. These are what chemically hormones are. So hormones is essentially what? Proteins, steroids, and biogenic amines. Chemically hormones are proteins, steroids, and biogenic amines. Moving on to the next question. Blood pressure is under control of blood pressure is under control. Blood pressure is controlled by this particular thing, aldosterone. So aldosterone, adrenal gland, from this this is secreted. Aldosterone, ALDOSTERONE, aldosterone. Aldosterone is the one that controls blood pressure. Blood pressure is controlled by aldosterone, adrenal gland, from where it is secreted. From adrenal gland it is secreted. Aldosterone is the one that is controlled, that controls blood pressure. Blood pressure is controlled by aldosterone, and it is secreted by adrenal gland. Moving on to the next question. Animal with a single nostril is a whale. Whale is the animal with a single nostril. Blue whales, actually. Whales as an animal with a single nostril. Whales, animal with a single nostril. What else we have? In proportion of the size of the body, which birds lay largest egg? Kiwi. In terms of the size, in proportion to the size, kiwi lays the largest egg. So in proportion of the size, the body of which bird gives the largest egg is kiwi. Gives birth to largest, gives to largest egg, or delivers largest egg. Among which of the following one lays egg and does not produce one young, that is young ones directly? So among the following lays egg and does not produce young ones directly. Echidna does not. It does that. Like echidna lays egg and does not produce directly. Echidna egg-laying mammal. That is a egg-laying mammal would be echidna. Echidna is a falls in specific category as it is a egg-laying mammal. It's a mammal, yet it sort of lays egg. But kangaroo, porcupine, whale, these are all mammals and does produce offspring directly, but does not produce eggs. But echidna, though it is a mammal, it produces egg-laying mammal. Moving on to the next. Monotrim, like egg-laying mammal, probably a scientific name for that would be monotrim. So basically, echidna is a monotrim, that is an egg-laying mammal, monotrim. Moving on to the next question. Monotrim, like which of the following not a monotrim? I do not know what is that, but then egg-laying mammal would be echidna. Moving on to the next question. Location of a particular gene on sex chromosome of autism can be identified by reciprocal cross. So reciprocal cross is the one. Reciprocal cross is the system by which reciprocal cross is the process by which location of a particular gene of sex chromosome, particular gene of a sex chromosome of autism can be identified. So reciprocal cross location of a particular gene on a sex chromosome of autism can be identified. Reciprocal cross location of a particular gene on sex chromosome or autism can be identified. Reciprocal cross. Moving on to the next question. In vitro fertilization is a technique that involves transfer of which of the following into the fallopian tube. In the fallopian tube, either zygote of embryo up to 8, in vitro fertilization technique that involves transfer of either zygote of embryo, either zygote of the embryo or what? Either zygote of embryo up to 8 cell stage. 8 cell stage is the one. Either zygote of embryo up to 8 cell stage. Either zygote of embryo, that is zygote of embryo up to 8 cell stage. So in vitro fertilization technique that involves transfer of which of the following in the fallopian tube. So zygote of embryo up to 8 cell stage. Zygote of embryo up to 8 cell stage. That is to say, in vitro fertilization, zygote of embryo up to 8 cell stage. In vitro fertilization technique that involves transfer of which of the following fallopian tubes. That is zygote of the embryo up to 8 cell stage. Moving on to the next question. Which of the following, which type of cells are involved in allergic response? Allergic response, both A and B, mast cell and basophils. Basophils and the mast cells. Basophils and the mast cells both are involved in allergic response. Basophil and the mast cells both are involved in basophils and mast cells are involved in allergic response. Moving on, all are oncogene virus except influenza virus. So basically, influenza is not oncogene, but HIV is the oncogene. Then hepatitis B. Then comes zoster virus. Varicella zoster virus, varicella HIV, varicella zoster virus, and hepatitis B. These are all oncogene virus. What are oncogene virus? HIV. Then comes varicella zoster virus, and then hepatitis B virus. These are all oncogene. Varicella zoster virus, and then HIV, and HIV, varicella zoster virus, and hepatitis B. These are all oncogene virus. Moving on to the next question: which of the following is congenital anemic disorder? All of this above are the congenital anemic disorder. Thalassemia, sickle cell anemia, and G6PD deficiency. G6PD deficiency, then sickle cell anemia and thalassemia. Thalassemia, sickle cell anemia, and G6PD deficiency. G6PD deficiency, sickle cell anemia, and thalassemia. These are all what? Congenital anemic disorder. These are all congenital anemic disorder. So all are congenital anemic disorder. What are these? Thalassemia, sickle cell anemia, and G6PD deficiency. G6PD deficiency, sickle cell anemia, and thalassemia. These are congenital anemic disorder. Moving on to the next question: which of the vitamin acts as a free radical inhibitor in the human body? Free radical inhibitor, that is to say, they stop the formation of free radical in the human body, both C and E, vitamin C and vitamin E. Which of the following acts as a free radical? Both vitamin C and vitamin E acts as the inhibitor, that is stopping, they stop the conversion, let's just say. Which of the vitamin acts as a free radical inhibitor in the human body? Free radical inhibitor in the human body would be both the vitamin C and vitamin E. Which of the following enzyme is present in saliva? Which of the following enzyme is present in saliva? Saliva presents tyline. Tyline is present in saliva. Which of the following enzyme is present in saliva? Tyline is the enzyme that is present in saliva. Human body requires some minerals for contraction of the muscles. Human body requires some muscles for some elements for the construction of the muscles, some minerals. All the following helps in the muscle contraction, that is to say, calcium, potassium, iron, and sodium. Calcium, sodium, iron, all of this. So D, calcium, sodium, iron, these all are essential, and potassium, calcium, potassium, sodium, iron, these are all helpful, are all required for the muscle contraction, for the contraction of the muscle. So what we need: calcium, sodium, iron, potassium. Calcium, sodium, iron, potassium, these are all required in the human body for the contraction of the muscle. So basically, calcium, sodium, iron, potassium, these are all required for the contraction of the muscles. Moving on to the next question: what Robert Webster is known for his work associated with influenza virus? Robert Webster, known for his work associated with influenza virus. Comparative exclusive principle was also denoted by GAUSE. Comparative exclusion principle was also denoted by GAUSE. Gauss competitiveness exclusion principle. Comparative exclusion principle was also denoted by Gauss. Life in the earth stands for RNA. Life in the earth stands for RNA. Life on earth started from, or not stands for, rather started from, what the hell I'm talking. So life on the earth started from, the very inception of the life starts from RNA, the inception, the very beginning. So life on the earth, in the earth's surface, started from the RNA. Life in the earth starts from RNA. Moving on, study of the bird is called ornithology. Moving on, salmon fish are also called Tiaroeuta trout. Salmon fish or salmon fish. Salmon fish is also called the trout fish. Tiaroeuta trout fish. Salmon fish are also called the trout fish. Moving on to the next question: malaria parasites could best be obtained from a patient in a state of shivering. So basically, malaria parasite could be best obtained from a patient in the state of shivering. The patient is shivering during that period. From the blood sample, I guess it can be obtained best. A malaria parasite could be best obtained. Malaria parasite could be best obtained from a patient in the state of shivering state. That is to say, malaria parasite could be best obtained from a patient if the patient is shivering. In the state of shivering, malaria parasite could be best obtained from a patient. Malignant malaria is caused by Plasmodium falciparum. Plasmodium falciparum is the mosquito that causes this malaria parasites. Malignant malaria is caused by Plasmodium falciparum. Malignant malaria is caused by Plasmodium falciparum. Plasmodium falciparum causes malignant malaria. And we are done here.